Hello and welcome to the latest episode 267 of Cincinnati Soccer Talk. Yes, this is a little bit different voice in the host chair this week. This is yours truly, Brian Weigel. Just want to say thank you, Boston Razzle Dazzle Brazzle, the new host of Cincinnati Soccer Talk, for putting me in charge. You know, guys, I just want to say only great things about Boston. He's done such a great job. Truly, what a guy. Decides to skip town the next 2 weeks, leaves me to talk about two great losses from FC Cincinnati. So just a peach of a man. But let's not talk about our hostess with the mostest that's 8,000 miles away right now. I want to bring in my cast of awesome characters. Somebody who's certainly dressed for the occasion this week in his red, white, and blue. Jeff Tebbets, everybody. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing pretty good right now. I've got the longest hosting streak here. I don't know about Boston, Braz. That I've got the streak now, so it's on me. Well, feeling pretty good. You know, we have the U.S. game coming tomorrow. I'm pumped for it. It's probably going to be a 10-0 blowout win, but whenever you see perfection come into your facility, you've got to follow it.
Best team in the world doesn't play in your facility many times, folks. And we're truly blessed that the women are going to be here taking on Paraguay on Tuesday night in TQL Stadium. Very excited for that. I don't know if, Jeff, if you caught the interview, I think it was Mallory Pugh and Lindsay Horan, maybe. They're talking about their favorite cities to play in, and they were talking about Portland, and then number 2 was Cincinnati. So, gotta love it.
Please tell me no one asked them about Skyline Chili.
If they're practicing journalistic integrity, they certainly did ask them about Skyline Chili. Meal of the gods. Speaking of the greatest things since chili, Ken Hetker, how you doing, my man?
Since the back end of chili, yeah, maybe.
We've had some chilly takes on Twitter this week, Ken.
Yeah, I have. Feels good. Here I am sitting in front of the camera, and Boston's off chasing waterfalls and volcanoes and steaming hot pools of water with kind of up in Iceland. So I think he's winning the game right now with Mr. PTO. But it's good to be on the show, and yeah, we'll take some shots at some of my steaming hot takes.
Steaming hot takes. I think you might be pleasantly surprised, or I don't know if you're pleasantly surprised, but I think there's going to be more people agreeing with you than you think, Mr. Stats Guru Ken Hetker. Can't wait to talk to you about some of these burning topics. We got a packed show for you guys this week. We are going to have Zach Blanford of AO Cincinnati. He's actually the director of social media for American Outlaws Cincinnati chapter. He's going to be on for a quick segment to kick off the show for us. We're going to talk about their preparations for the big game this Tuesday for the U.S. women's national team. Then we're going to, of course, do our favorite topics, our best and the worst of the week. We're going to take no more than 5 minutes. Jeff, you're in charge of keeping track of that, to discuss the Atlanta match. We'll talk about the disappointment versus New York, and then talk about some refereeing, some Brenner, and then Ken Hetker's favorite topic, Luciano Acosta. So jam-packed show for you guys. And, as I said earlier today, or early in the show, I did get a chance to speak to Zach Blanford earlier. He's entertaining the cream of the crop fans of the United States down at the pitch Cincinnati this evening. So we actually recorded a show, or a little segment during our lunch breaks this afternoon. So let's check it out, and we'll discuss their preparations following this interview. Please enjoy. And now we're joined by Zach Blanford of AO Cincy. Zach, thanks for joining us, pal. Can you give us a little bit of a background about yourself and how you joined AO Cincy?
Yeah, happy to join. So I've been a soccer fan my whole life. I played for a long time. I was never particularly good, but I enjoyed playing. And I followed the national team for forever. I remember going places and wearing like ridiculous red, white, and blue things back when we used to be in the World Cup. Hopefully when we're in the World Cup again, I will replicate that as a full-grown adult. But I was just excited to get involved when we were putting the chapter back together. I'm from Cincinnati. I've lived in Cincinnati basically my entire life. I moved around a little bit to Cleveland and then to Washington, D.C., but I moved back a little over a year ago. And every year I've been here, I've had FC Cincinnati season tickets. The first season they existed, I was there. The second season, I was there. The third season, I was there for about half of it, and I'm back now. So I'm just excited to get involved in whatever ways I can. And I love the U.S. Women's National Team. I like the men's team; they're great, but I love the U.S. Women's National Team, so I'm very excited for them to come to town.
Yeah, I mean it's been a whirlwind for you guys. The AO Cincy for the most part in the history of AO Cincy, they've been based over in Northern Kentucky. Now they're based over here next to TQL Stadium at the pitch Cincy. As I'm sure everybody who's listening to this knows, it's been quite a whirlwind in terms of the national team picture. How has that been for you and all the planning that's going on between reinvigorating AO Cincy, getting the U.S. men's national team and the women's national team games here in Cincinnati, and all that planning process?
I mean, it's been incredibly exciting. It's been really cool to see people from across the supporter community here plug in and help too. We've had some people who have been really critical in our success, and that's been amazing. I really don't know that we would have been able to put this together as quickly as we have without their help. We over the summer decided we were going to restart the chapter, and then found out within a couple of weeks we were going to get like the Super Bowl of American soccer, and then after that they're like, oh yeah, and also the women's national team is coming. So it's been a fun ride, but it's been exhausting, and there's time to go. But I think it's a real celebration of what we've put together in this city, that we're getting these games, and I'm just grateful, even though I also could use a nap.
Well, can you tell us a little bit about what AO Cincy does between the watch parties, the preparations, TIFOs?
Yeah, so we have watch parties for all the matches. They've been at kind of weird times. We've had some 4 a.m. watch parties, which is not a thing I ever necessarily wanted, but they were a good time despite some of the results we got there. But every qualifying match, all of the women's friendlies, any upcoming men's friendlies there may be after we complete qualifying, future World Cup games, knock on fake wood desk in front of me. We'll be there. We'll be cheering them on. We have merch sales and raffles and all kinds of fun stuff. And then for matches, hopefully we continue to get them, but there's always help needed. I was painting the TIFO with some excellent volunteers last night that I'm excited for you all to see tomorrow. Putting together all of the folks to help make sure that the supporter section runs in the stadium and make sure it's an experience that the players and the fans there never forget and all appreciate. And we love hearing every time someone comes and plays in Cincinnati that they say it's like the best experience they've ever had on an American soccer pitch, and we want to keep that going for our national team games too. So.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to be there for the men's and women's friendlies a couple of years back in Nippert, and got about 9 of us going to the game down there Tuesday night to see the women play. Very exciting for that. Now, as a leader of supporters and things like that, we've been trying to educate people to get involved for FC Cincinnati games, and you guys got a lot going on tomorrow. Can you give us a little bit of a background on what you have planned prior to the match, how people can get involved with American Outlaws, AO Cincy, join up and have a great experience before the match?
Yeah, so I'll start with this match, and then I'll probably touch on a little bit of the stuff we're going to be doing for Mexico that's in early stages, but we need all of the help we can get because, like I said, it's basically the Super Bowl of American soccer, so we have a lot of work to do, and we're very excited about it. But for tomorrow, we're going to be at the pitch. As you mentioned, there, our chapter bar. We're going to be having a tailgate there from 3:30 p.m. until about 6:30, about an hour to kick off. We're going to do a short but hopefully thick and loud march across the street to TQL Stadium. I've been told it's not the shortest march in American Outlaws history, but I don't think that's true until the national folks show up and see just how close the pitch is. But it'll be a great time. We'd love to see anyone out there. Obviously, I will be there at 3:30 until the march. Say hi if you see me there. But stop by whenever you can. I know folks have work and stuff, but any amount of time you can come and hang out and celebrate this. Really what I think is one of the top spectacles in American sports right now. The U.S. women's national team coming into town is just a very cool experience, and we would be happy to see anyone out. And then as we prepare for Mexico, we need all the help we can get. So if you have time or talent, if you like to paint, or if you like to cheer, if you like to bang on a drum, send us a DM on any of our social media channels. Join AO Cincy. I'm sending out a Discord link again today to make sure that folks have seen it. We got a Discord we're putting together for announcements and things like that. But stay tuned. We'll be putting out opportunities like the paint night we had the other day, and we're going to need lots of help going into November. So.
Yeah, it's going to be such an amazing event there. I think they've been calling it like the Carly Lloyd retirement tour, and we've got so many great storylines with Rose Lavelle coming back. It's going to be a wild experience to cheer on, the best team in our country. So you've mentioned, I want to give due, and we need to get people excited, energized, and involved going into that the men's match as well. Dos de Cero, as what you said, I wholeheartedly agree. It's the World Cup. It's the quote unquote Super Bowl match level of U.S. soccer. Do you guys look at it, or has AO National been looking at it kind of as a dry run for that match, like this Tuesday night?
I mean, in many ways it is, but I want to make sure I give the women's game their due. This is a really exciting event on its own. To have the reigning World Cup champs come to town is an incredible opportunity to watch them play, especially with Rose Lavelle on the squad. And like you said, Carly Lloyd, I was up in Cleveland last Thursday and got to watch Carly Lloyd score a mind-numbing amount of goals. So it's very exciting, but I think in many ways it is very helpful in our preparation and planning to see stuff come together and figure out, who our drummers are and who our design folks are, and plug into some of those pieces of the supporters group community that I've been adjacent to for a long time but haven't really been in. I think it's really helpful to get us prepared to really blow that match out of the water and hopefully make it the first of many matches to come once they realize how great our city is for these upcoming ones.
Yeah, it should be both events should be just absolutely incredible for our city. So I'm real jazzed. You made mention of the Discord and your social media. Can you give us a little bit of a rundown on how people can join AO Cincy, how people can follow you, and potentially be that future drummer or maybe leader in the group?
Yeah, so we just rolled out our Discord last week. We put it together so it can be sort of a community space, but also a call to action and event update space. So that's a great way to get involved. I'm actually sending out an email at some point, either today or tomorrow. You may have seen it already by the time you hear us speaking, with that link in it to join. And that's a great place to stay involved and stay updated. Our social media channels are great too. I believe our DMs are always open, and I'm the one that runs those accounts. So if you send us a DM, I'll make sure that you get plugged into the right place, because we need as much help as we can get. And then I think as far as joining AO Cincy, you get a free t-shirt. So that's always great. We love that. But the link, I believe, is on all of our social media channels. If you have any trouble finding it, feel free to, again, shoot us a DM on any of our socials. Then also, if you go to the pitch, right when you walk in, there's a cardboard cutout of me with a QR code on it, and that QR code takes you to the membership. So if you come to either of our events, scan the QR code, you can join AO Cincy that way too. And I think that personally is the best way to join AO Cincy.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time, Zach. Guys, make sure to check him out at AOCINCY on Twitter. Get all their get involved in their Discord, register, get involved. And, that's the key word, man. We need everybody here to support and help out for these next two matches. So, Zach, appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah, appreciate you having me.
Awesome. Well, that was Zach Blanford. Appreciate him taking time to discuss AO Cincy this afternoon with me. Kind of a last second interview. We just, decided, hey, let's talk around lunchtime, guys. So a lot of great things going with that organization on a local level. And, they're doing really great work. Not just, AO Cincy, they're working with members of the Incline and Pride and Indianestadt to make these next couple events really just an amazing showpiece for our city. Transitioning to the women's game briefly, guys. Jeff, I'm going to throw this to you. What are you most, excited or looking forward to tomorrow night?
I just want to see what the cohesion is like, with this team. I think we saw a little bit of a stumbling when they all traveled to Japan and unfortunately got a bronze instead of a gold. And as much as we saw, them put a clinic in place, they also played, I think, in front of just 10,000 fans. I want the full experience here. I want to see a very talented squad in front of 20,000, 21,000, 22,000 fans. And just give us the full taste of what we should be seeing a few years down the road in the World Cup.
And what are you looking forward to?
I think Jeff probably hit on one of them, which is the fan experience in a new stadium, giving it sort of a rundown. But I think the other thing to look that I think just it's Cincinnati, it's Rose. You got to be looking to see, Rose play and her feeling the love from the city again. And also, I mean, I think she's a little more integrated with the women's team more so now than when she last played here. So I'm looking forward to seeing how she plays. That's all.
Yeah, certainly. I just think anytime that you have the ability to see this group play in your town, you should go and do it. And tickets aren't that expensive. I'm looking right now on Ticketmaster, $38 for an upper level ticket for an exclusive event is pretty exciting. I wish the weather forecast was a little bit better, but if you are a little worried about that, a lot of covered seats at the great TQL Stadium. We had a comment from Joe on Facebook saying, love to hear so many comments from the U.S. women's national team about how amazing our facilities are, how amazing our stadium is, and how much they're enjoying the hospitality in the city. They are looking forward to hearing Cincinnati tomorrow, as they have been told how awesome our fans are. Yeah, I think you as I said earlier, Mallory and Lindsey Horan both said how crazy it was at Nippert last go around here in Cincinnati. So I'm sure we can do one up a little bit better in TQL Stadium, and I certainly can't wait to see it. We had a group of 9 of us going to the game, and I'll tell you, if anything, guys, I really hope this gets the ownership group of FC Cincinnati or an ownership group in the city of Cincinnati to really start discussing an NWSL club, because I think we need it.
Yeah, I've always been a little skeptical, or maybe skeptical is a bad word. I've been a little hesitant about it because it's so close to Louisville with their first season here. But if we can get Louisville and Cincinnati on the same page in the NWSL, we get the Dirty River Derby back up again.
Certainly. All right, guys. Well, this show would be possible without great supporters. And I think, as Boston has mentioned recently, we are presented now by Suero X. Make sure to rehydrate with the new Suero X. 0 sugar, 0 calories, and the power of 8 ions will speed up your recovery time, keep your body hydrated and balanced, helps replenish the 8 main ions that you lose during the day, including zinc. I needed my Suero X this weekend badly. I had 2 of my kids playing games at 9:30 and 11:30 Saturday morning in 90 degrees, running my butt off around those little kid fields. Man, I'll tell you what, I got my 10,000 steps in that morning. Followed up with the golf tournament that the Twins won. We did it. We actually won something athletic. So it's possible redheads can achieve success in some sports. So definitely used, I think it was my strawberry kiwi, my grape Suero X to hydrate, stay fresh, and help me to partake in some fun events. So great to be partnered with those guys. I know Jeff's talked about a lot when he's done his runs. I'm sure we'll get to Ken's story about Suero X at some time here soon, but appreciate those guys and look forward to working with them more.
I was actually just going to jump in and tease you.
Yeah,
you calling golf an athletic event,
kind of.
But
it's a drinking event for me. It's an athletic event for Brad.
I know, but now that I'm 50, I have to walk up 4 flights of stairs at the condo, and I need my Suero X when I get to the top of the steps. So
Suero X, that's good. We got Boston Razzle Dazzle Brazzle mispronouncing things. So you actually got the Weigel in the host chair that knows how to mispronounce Al-Badawi 8,000 times. So we're gonna fix that up a little bit. But great company. They're really doing a lot of cool things, and buy it on Amazon. I think Walmart's carrying them. So if you ever have a chance to go support them, I truly would appreciate it. So let's dive into the week that was. It was a long week to be an FC Cincinnati fan. And as we all know, we get into our bests and, sadly, more common worsts of the week in Cincinnati land. I'm going to kick it off with Jeff, or I'm going to throw it over to Jeff. I apologize. Give us your worst than best of the week.
Well, I guess apparently starting with my best last week didn't help. So I'm going to start with my worst. I'm going to say the squad in Atlanta. That was a hot mess. I mean, we were looking at Boston and his pictures next to the volcano. That was heated garbage that we saw in that field. I mean, I know you need to rotate your squad. You've got a lot of people that needed to rest because of the short week, but it felt like he rested all the wrong people. The one person that he decided to put out there was Matarrita. The one big talent he needed in the back, and he gets a yellow card and it has to sit out for the game against NYC on Saturday. And I think that hurt them even more, that those dominoes did not help. So I'm going to say that's my worst. My best, I'm going to actually kick this over to my fiance. She says it was the most entertaining game she's seen in a while at home against New York City. She felt that the team had heart. The team really, after that first goal from Brenner, she felt like even though New York City was on the front foot and had a lot of attacks, we were finding answers to parry it away. And it was deflating at the end that all that heart turned into maybe just too much aggression out there. The yellow cards are piling up, and we saw it with those two big red cards there.
I really do wonder what I think this matters into tiebreakers, but your discipline status, basically you get points for how many yellow cards and red cards you get, and that can matter in playoff ratings. So I wonder where we would stand on that. Certainly.
What if they use? Oh, go ahead. I was going to say, what if they use that for the wooden spoon tiebreaker?
We would come indefinitely last. Right now, I'm looking at it per game. We are the second worst in Major League Soccer. Only
in yellow cards
in yellow cards. Only Real Salt Lake is worse than us.
Wow, that is different. And we finally had 2 red cards, so those basically count as doubles in terms of their ratings. All right. Well, I do want to touch on a couple of those comments you had, Jeff, and think about it a little bit. I want to talk to you a little bit later about, you're talking about a starting 11, but maybe questioning the substitution pattern as well later on that match. But Ken, give us your best and worst for the week.
I'm going to make mine short and sweet, sort of. I think the best is Brenner is starting to show his worth. I think not just. I think he's making the runs the right way, and I think I'm going to throw in also a Tonga is helping out in some of that scenario. But it's the best is seeing Brenner grow into the game, and they say it takes a while for somebody to come from South America or wherever, and it takes them a while to adjust. So it's nice to see him. That was his best game, in my opinion. Worst, hands down, the refs. I mean, it was just a beep show out there, sort of on all that. So I mean, I was disappointed in the offside call, but that's questionable. Was he off? Was he on? We can debate it. I always like giving the offensive player a little bit more advantage because an open game is more fun to watch than a defensive game. However, I can't deny that he was, or definitively say that he was onside either. So just to be clear, you can't argue against the ref. It was just a total loss of control of the game. After that was a total mess, and the refs just allowed it to get away. So that's my worst.
If you're in the chat or watching live tonight, make sure to post your thoughts on the refereeing performance. We'll throw those up later in the show when we talk about Ted Uncle. So heck of a performance there. I'm going to give my best and worst for the week. This is more personal note. Everybody wants us to talk soccer, but my daughter Lily had a midweek game and a game on Saturday, and she's been the most timid player on my team, and she scored a goal in both games this week. So I'm going to give that my best of the week, followed very closely by Ziko Bailey. So pumped seeing him out there. I thought he did well. Yes, he got taken advantage of a little bit by George Bello towards the end of that Atlanta match, but I thought he did well in a start versus a very tough offensive team, and I would like to see him out there a little bit more. I think he needs to be able to prove himself, because it really is. His Ziko Bailey more likely is our future right back, or is Nick Hagelin. So, that really would motivate me to see him more. I would say worst of the week again is our decision making, especially in that New York New York match when you get Jeff Cameron getting baited into a penalty, and then you got those 2 red cards by Barial Natanka. So I don't know if that's just loss of focus due to no faith of coming back in the match, or is there just no, really focus anymore at the group. So we'll see how that goes. But that's our best and the worst of the week. If you guys have a best and the worst of the week, put it in our mentions, and we'll say it here in a little bit. But of course, as I said earlier, this show is sponsored and supported by our fans. Yes, we have sponsors to get a lot of our work done here. But as you know, with the departure of Nick a couple weeks ago, we had to tailor our fundraising efforts to keep this venture going, to keep bringing great content to you guys. So we did switch everything over to Patreon. You can follow that on Patreon by looking us up there, or go to CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/support. But I did want to give a special shout out to all of our listeners who signed up so far. We have Reilly, John Davidson, Mike Hudson, Matthew Long, Robert Stevens, Laura Failer, Matt Adamchick, Buddy Taylor, Riley Stephen Burke, James DeBow, Tom Niehaus, Brian Giles, Dan Albers, William Kiltick, Ian Rexroad, Augustin Caceres, Bill Antonitis, Carl Feit, Jeremy Schrand, Kyle Pohl, Christina Schwarma, Rupesh, Tom Biersdorfer, Jason, who is super average. Yes, that's how I had to say it. John Haskell, and Ryan Ernest. Thank you guys so much for supporting us each and every week. If you guys want to support Cincinnati Soccer Talk, please go over to CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/support. All right, Jeff, you got that timer ready?
All right.
I made a promise that we wouldn't take more than 5 minutes to discuss the
Play
4-0
clock in
loss.
hand.
Ready, set, go. All
Go.
right. Jeff, you made mention of a crazy starting 11, which we went back to a 3-5-2 with Matarrita, Hagelin, and Viacia in the back. Castillo and Bailey were wingbacks, with Velo, Stanko, Cruz in the midfield, Vasquez, and Brenner up top. So you made mention of the questionable decisions in that 11, but what do you think about bringing on some of those substitutions, Acosta, Cameron, when the game's seemingly out of hand?
I didn't understand that one bit. I mean, he also took away the people that probably really could have helped out with this. He subbed off Brenner. He left Vasquez out in the middle by himself. Below comes out. Castillo, Bailey got subbed. It felt like you were taking away the people that really could have used that time to show themselves off in a 3-0 deficit that soon became 4-0. And frankly, I just did not like the decisions there. And in the end, I mentioned it. You don't have Matarrita. That really could have turned the tide in that New York City game.
Ken, what did you make of kind of the group and especially some of those players like Velo going out there and Bailey? What did you make of their efforts? And I think we were all asking to see 90 minutes out of Vasquez, or at least to start out of Vasquez, and sadly he did not impress, in my opinion.
I agree on that. But part of it, part of my question, Stom, is the amount of rotation. I think generally I like to see a manager rotate, over a spread of matches. And I think Jeff brought it up earlier, is he rotated everybody all at once. So, I mean,
it's tough.
I guess it's pick your poison. Somebody can agree with that. Somebody, it's not the way I would prefer it. I would have preferred to see, 1 or 2 guys go out and rotate some other guys out against NYCFC, and maybe some other guys the next match, so on and so forth. But hey, I'm not an expert. I'm not going to sit there and act like I am. I'm just saying that's my preference. I think everybody knew when the game started, it was not going to go well. It was a mishmashed lineup, and we didn't know what it was going to look like. And I sat there and said, well, he's trying something. And at least we're going to see a few guys, but I also don't think it's fair to judge Vasquez just on that, even though I didn't think he had a good game. If you don't have many opportunities to shine, you don't have many ways to make yourself look good either. I'm just saying nobody looked good out there. So,
Ken, you're going to take up all 5 minutes of this, man. I'm joking. We need Luis Araujo like that type of wing creative player that can do things by himself, or, he draws players to create more room for Ezekiel Barco. We're missing that. And that's kind of like what I really wish Locadia could have been for us this year.
We're seeing a lot of pieces that are starting to work down in Atlanta. They've been waiting a long time for Martinez to be fully healthy. They've been waiting for their number 10 Moreno to sort of gel. Barco has been hotter than the volcanoes up in Iceland. So they're really doing well. And then you've got a really solid defense. Miles Robinson showed what he could do with the U.S. team, and now he's back. They're looking really good. I wouldn't be surprised they find themselves a 4th or 5th seed at the end of the season.
Yep. How much time to have, Jeff?
1.5 minutes.
90 seconds to go. All right, guys. Where did we fail in this game? Both Jaap Stam and Caleb Stanko made mention of Atlanta capitalizing and us not capitalizing. I think there was a howler, or I don't know, you call it a howler from Brenner, but he had a very, very strong opportunity. I think actually was rated as the easiest shot in the whole match, when it's basically him and the keeper with a center back just behind him. And I don't even think he put it on frame. Caleb Stanko's quote was, "We had 2 huge opportunities and unfortunately didn't put them away. That's how it goes. It's those small details and it cost us. Unfortunately, we didn't put them away. It's how it goes." They were clinical up front. We weren't. And also we were just sleeping a little bit on their set pieces. It really messed us up. Do you guys agree with their assessment? Do you think it was more than just our attackers failing in this match? I mean, it's hard when it's like 4-0. It's like, come on.
I don't agree with it, but I'll say this: he's right and wrong. Those if you finish those chances, it changes the game. We all know that, but we're constantly letting in lesser chances, easier chances, and why is that? That it goes both ways. So we have to strengthen up on both sides. Better offense, better defense. Period. Just that simple. It's
all right. We are out of time here, but good job, Jeff. I'm so proud of you. I could never have asked Boston to do that. That's all I got to say. Thank you so much. Just something to note, over our past 8 games, you're going to hear a lot of us talking today about our most recent 8 games and then the 8 games prior to that. I feel like lately we've been as what Ken said, we've been giving in a lot easier chances. Our goals against average is, I think, 15 goals in the last 8 games versus 12 in the match prior. And you see, like, when we're talking about points, substantially less points now than we did. They had a huge stretch of those boring draws that we were all complaining about. But I'll tell you what, I would take some of those results right now. To Ken's, I guess, worst of the week, Ted Uncle defeats FC Cincinnati 2-1 with the help of New York City FC. I really hate bringing up officiating. I think it's a cop-out. But my goodness, was that just a disappointing lack of control in the match. Affecting the match, clearly one-sided. What did you guys... Ken, I'm going to go with you. What did you think if...
I 100% agree. I think, he did change the match. I think you posted an article from, was it Sounders at Heart or whatever, or something about how he has some of the most prolific game-changing calls out of a 10-game stretch. He makes like almost 5, one every other game. So, you brought up Cameron getting baited in. I thought it was bad on Cameron as well, but I also thought that's a soft penalty kick, because when everybody could see he was baiting him, and that, as a ref, I don't like that. It's like, it's one thing if you get baited and you get taken out poorly, but Cameron didn't take him out. So, it was bad. And the whole goal, not goal, back to the center line thing, I think got the fans in a tizzy at the thing. So it wasn't handled well all the way around from that. So it was chippy all game long.
The easiest thing that he could have done with that reversal of the goal call is wave it off. You don't point to the middle of the field and automatically assume that it's a free kick in the other direction. That's typically the sign that it's a good goal. And that got the crowd up, that got the team excited. And then to hear the announcer say no goal, a minute later, really takes takes all the energy out of the fans. It turns everybody on its side. And you could see that frustration building up. That penalty kick was soft. You saw Castellanos sort of his hand up against Cameron. If this was basketball, that would be an offensive foul, or at least a hand check foul. So to have then, this is also on Cameron for him to, get goaded into it and baited and give that penalty kick away. But I just felt that by that time, everything had lost control.
Yeah, when you have a player like Castellanos who has been fined by the league a week ago for diving, for embellishment, you think that A, your star center back would know that, and B, the referee would have some idea that this guy's been a problem. And he's certainly, like, 5 seconds before the end of the penalty, the dude dove. He's like, get back up, and then poor Cameron does go clear him out a little bit. But I agree with you. I think it was a BS opportunity, and there should have been something blown the other way. Just disappointing. I guess a couple other notes that you can say were, I guess, positive in the game before we get to the fiasco that was the end of the match. Brenner, 7 goals on the season. Personally, I said if he can get 8, I thought he had 8 there, got called back. The boy needs to get a little bit more luck in some of his finishing. I swear the guy could have 10 or 11 goals, if not for a couple close offside calls and things like that. But I think he's starting to play very well. What do you guys think about the youngster, especially his performance in this match? Coming off some difficult misses in Atlanta for sure.
I think I said it earlier, it was my best. It's his best match of the year. I mean, he found space. He I won't say he created opportunities, but he created himself space to give him opportunities, and he found it. So he's a poacher. So, I mean, I think that's the whole, he's finally finding that poacher role, and whether that's him finding it or FCC finding it, we had this discussion is he playing up top more now than dropping as deep as he was the previous games? And it seems to be that's somewhat the case. And Atonga, I think the Atonga on the wing helps him a lot as well. I think it creates some space for him also.
We were going to discuss this a little bit later, but I think it's a good time to discuss it right now in the context of this match. Brenner getting better versus or in the system that we're playing hasn't led to necessarily better results for the club, but personally, he's succeeded more in the last 8 games than 8 games prior. And there's like a defining mark. I mean, you just see like average amount of shots, touches, how he's been a little bit more alone up top versus, passing the ball. He's had 21 shots to 15 in that prior 8. But then when you see his passing, he's passing the ball substantially less, 127 passes in his last 8 matches versus nearly 160. He's creating less opportunities for his teammates, but he's getting more opportunities himself. I mean, I think substantially better play out of Brenner. Yes, he's had some howler matches in there too, but overall, I'm starting to like what I see out of the youngster, knowing he still doesn't have all the necessary pieces around him to fully succeed with this club.
Yeah, I mean, really, you could say prior 8, last 8, the last 16 in general, I think you've seen an improvement. When he started out the season, his only real offense was that penalty kick that, granted, he drew it because he was buzzing in the goalkeeper's bonnet there. But now we're starting to see him play better team football, I guess you can call it. And he's, the recipient of many good plays. Whether or not that continues to build up for the rest of the year, I want to see that happen. If you're going to go down in a blaze of glory right now, feed that ball to Brenner, keep him going, get his mentality up, his positivity up, so that when we do uncork him next year, he's ready to bust out 20-goal season.
I'm all for that. Now, unfortunately, he's going to be without quite a few tools in that arsenal this upcoming weekend in Washington, D.C. versus D.C. United, as Alvaro Barreal and Isaac Atonga both picked up some hot-headed red cards. I don't know if Barrial's was the second yellow that turned red or straight red. I think it was straight red.
Barrios was a second yellow.
Was it? Okay.
I know they're
No,
marking it
it
out.
was a straight red.
Was it?
It might have.
It's tough to figure it out online. But
I think
regardless, he should know he's in that situation.
Yeah. I think it was a foul that was going to be called a yellow card, and then when the other team and our team start to push things around, I think it got transferred into a red somehow. I'm hoping that doesn't mean we lose them for more than one game. I have a feeling that the foul that we saw out of Atanga might cost him more than one. That was a messy 2-footed slide that had no business of being done at that point of the game.
As a fan, do you like seeing that fire out of the players, or do you hate those fouls because it just shows lack of, I guess, self-control? I don't know if that's the right word, but
I think that's a sort of a loaded question. I think that we and
yes,
I say that from the aspect of, yeah, we want to see the fire, but you don't want to see those fouls. You want to see him take maybe some hard, clean shots, if that's the right word. But Barrios was pretty bad, actually. I thought he went straight into the shin. So they have to use better judgment at that point in time. They just do. I want to see him play that hard. It's that simple. They need to play that hard, but they don't need to do those actions. Those are two different things to me. So
yeah. Will Keeltick, we should have never put the game in the refs' hands. They teach kids that. We lost our cool. We played right into NYCFC's plan. They broke our composure and made us pay for it. I think there's a lot of truth to that, Will. These guys have just been a little bit of a pain in our rear end the past couple of years.
See, there's something to be said about, I think, playing with ferocity, playing with aggression, but also recognizing what your opponent is. NYC has been in our, as you said, they've been in our ear. I think Maxime Chanot, he was all over us, I think, last year and the beginning of this year, just getting to us. And this is the one thing, if you're an aggressive team, you really have to know your opponent. You have to know how badly they goad their opponent into these ticky-tack fouls and how badly they give out these yellow and red cards to them.
One final thing I guess I would like to say about this match before we kind of turn the page. I really liked how, I don't know if you guys saw it on social media, how FC Cincinnati gave Abear a jersey, a Ronald Matarrita jersey, basically welcome him back after his injury last year. I thought that was a touch of class for Matarrita, the club, and Abear, who's a great talent in the league. Fortunately, had a really tough injury. So there are things that transcend the sport a little bit. So I thought that was pretty neat and maybe not shared by as many people as possible. So part of the terms to have the stats guru Ken Hecker on the show was to discuss a little Luciano Acosta. I know there's been a lot of comments on social media. There's been disparities. You love them, you hate them. I don't know how much room there is in the middle for you. What are you making out of Lucio Acosta? I know you've shared quite a bit of displeasure about his play recently.
So, well, I mean, displeasure. It's frustration. I would call is the better word than displeasure. It's listen. I rank him. He ranks top like 4 in the league or 5 in the league for attacking midfielders. So I know he's good. I know we're better with him. It's not that to me, and this is to me, the final third. He is not unlocking people, at least not at a rate that's expected, I think. And what I mean by that is I think if there's 10 chances to make a pass, a very good attacking midfielder makes 8 of those, if you know what I mean. Lucho makes 4 because he's always trying to do a kick flick or something, or it's too frequent. Yeah, nutmeg. Hell, he's behind Reynosa, and I looked that stat up too. Reynosa's got him doubled, I think, but it's always trying to do something with flair, and he's extremely aggressive with that behavior. And I think for this team to take that next step, he's going to need to not be so flamboyant in that regard. He wants to beat 5 guys. He wants to, flick it over somebody's head, backheel it. It can't be that way all the time. That should be a moment in time, not your go-to. And I question his ability to bring stability to that position to where our players know exactly what's going on. Honestly, I don't think the guys know always what he's going to do. It's confusing. I think you need consistency from that position. So next year, I know he's going to be here. I'm not doubting that. It's just, can he advance in that position and make the people around him better in the final third? He can unleash a pass at midfield. I'm not going to deny that. We don't get it very often because we're not in that position, but the final third, I question his ability to unlock other teammates.
What would you say? And I think it's fair to judge people based on track record. We knew he was going to be inconsistent. We knew he's a streaky player. We know he likes to dribble the ball quite a bit more than pass the ball than when he needs to. But I always look at the proverbial back of the baseball card. This guy, in 22 matches, it's legitimately his second best statistical season as a professional, especially in MLS. He's on pace for 12 assists. Yeah. Are you saying take him out of the lineup?
No.
Or we need to have a third person to be a support?
You live by the sword, you die by the sword. That's what I'm saying that's the position we're in. And I'm just saying that's a position that shouldn't be that way. Is you don't live and die by. That's a forwards mentality, in my opinion. Is you got the guy who's aggressive and he's either hot or not. And but DC United fans, I think Brad interviewed him earlier this year, and they said you're going to love him and you're going to hate him, all at the same time. And it's a perfect description of him. Hate is a strong word, but it's frustrating at points in time. And it's not all game long. It's like I said, there's always 5 moments, and I say always, there's usually about 4 to 5 moments in a game in which the game opens up for you, and you have to take that. If the ball's at his feet, I question whether we're able to take that, or he'll take it. He'll give it to somebody else. I make that pass. It doesn't seem like it occurs frequent enough. Does it occur? Yes. We've got 6 assists. He does, but I don't think it occurs frequently enough.
I wish I had more statistics to back things up. I can really only look at some, snapshots, snap judgments at the end of the game. But one of the striking things that I saw on the MLSsoccer.com website is it gives a passing breakdown, an average spot of where everybody is on the field. You take a look at New York's, and it's not really set up the way that it was drawn up. You see a lot of moving pieces, but the one thing you notice is that there's a lot of separation between the players, that there's no real overlap. There's no evidence that 2 people are trying to occupy the same spot in the field. You take a look at ours, you've got a nice, well-defined back. You've got Madrini in the middle. You've got Kubo ahead of him. But then you see Brenner and Acosta's numbers almost over each other.
Yep.
It's telling me that the 2 of them, while they're playing to communicate with each other, sometimes you don't need to be right in the guy's ear to communicate. You can communicate through deeper passes. I want to see a little bit more separation between them, but communication from a distance. I don't know if that makes sense to the every man, but I need to see a little less overlap between those 2 players.
Great point, Jeff.
Yeah, I think that's great. As soon as you said that, I literally have that the last couple matches up, and it's amazing. So
yeah, if you can take a look at it, go to MLSsoccer.com. They have a nice breakdown in their stats section for all of the games. It shows the average spot of where everybody is, and they're both on the same spot.
I'm going to go to a couple listener comments here. Matthew Long, his success came with Wayne Rooney on the field. Acosta has not proven to be a winner without him. And then Sabas said Acosta has had a great weight to bear. In terms of those comments, I think that he is a top 5, 10 in this league? No. Do I still think he's a top 12 to 8, 10 in this league? I think so. I think most teams would still like to take him, even though he's not perfect. But you need, is what I said, you need that secondary creator like that. Luis Araujo in Atlanta. You need a player like that, I think, for Lucho to truly succeed, or else people, and we said this before the season started, people are going to key in on Lucho. They're going to take him out. This guy, in his previous high, was in 2018 for how many fouls? Like, people just take him out, and that's how they stopped DC United. Like, literally just take him off his feet. Previous high of 63 fouls against him in 33 games. Anyone want to guess how many times he's been cleared out this year? 55 through 22 games. People are keying in on him. And that's how they stop FC Cincinnati. So I'm sure there's a little bit more depth. Go listen to Coach's show, Talking Tactics, for that depth on this. And I'm sure he can provide some great stats and talking about the dimension of the game that you were talking about, Jeff, as well, on how Brenner likes to sit in sometimes, how he likes to get up, and then Acosta running off him. So
I do want to just hit on what Matt said, though, about Wayne Rooney. And I know that's probably, it can be exaggerated a little bit, but what I think Wayne did for him was Wayne said, and I say this with like grace, at least, he said, "Son, back off. I'm the man." And it took pressure off of him. Lucho's the man. Like,
and he has to take pressure off Brenner.
Well, he's the man, and that's the question. Can he do that? There's a big difference between Wayne Rooney and Lucho saying that. So that's my point is does Lucho need another person to relieve that stress off of him? And I mean, I think you've said that as well, but just my whole point is he's also the leader on the team. Brenner's not going to go up to him and say, "Son, back off." Who on the team will? Nobody will. He's kind of that man, at least in the offensive set. The only person that would do that is Jeff Cameron. I think that could have that control. And Jeff Cameron's not going to be the offensive threat. So my whole point is I think Lucho needs somebody else that can do that and be the one to be able to tell him almost, "Hey, listen, let me take some pressure off," and him listen to that person.
There's one thing that you can't deny, as much as we're giving demerits to Acosta, without him on the field, you have a very bad team. That's why they were down 3-0 versus Atlanta to start the game. You bring him in, now what is he going to do? But you have him in for New York City. We honestly could have won that game, even down the stretch. With that one red card in, if he had gotten a little bit more power, it was receiving Hags' cross, could have poked that in, would have tied it up. The place would have gone berserk if that went in. He makes this team better. We can't deny that.
Yep, 100%. I don't deny that. It's the one that, like I said, the 5 things out of 100. It's those things that I start to question, and they're meaningful moments. That's the whole point.
Well, I think this all comes to the same kind of theme, that he is exciting and he's frustrating, and we love him, but hey, sometimes we gotta throw some mean tweets out there, Brad Weigel. I'm joking. Love you, buddy. All right, guys. Well, that was most of, I guess, our coverage for FC Cincinnati over this past week. It was a fun week. I do. Maybe we can tie it off with this. I really thought that we played better than both of these results showed. I think you see that in the XG. I really thought that this NYCFC game should have been a draw. Would I have been disappointed that originally? Probably, but I think we certainly deserved a point out of that match. And Atlanta, I think that was a 3-2 game. Maybe I don't think we would have won it, but I do think that we didn't look as out of place as the scoreline shown. You guys disagree with that?
I think the stats aren't going to reflect it in terms of the shots on goal. But one thing I also noticed after in the second half, New York City had one shot the entire game, the entire half. And that was the penalty kick. We were a lot more aggressive in the second half. Granted, I don't know how much of that is New York City playing on their heels to make sure that they keep control of things in defense. but it was an exciting second half.
Certainly was.
I definitely agree. You know, we played better, at least in the NYCFC game. The Atlanta game, I'll admit, my eyes kind of drifted away once that game got away, and I'm not going to speak towards that one at all. So.
Well, it was nice to not have a flurry of storm out tweets after NYCFC. From the Platypus, still no GM, sadly. Hope we see or hear something by the end of the month. I think it's logical. No, Ken's shaking his head. I don't know what he's hearing, but
I'm not saying like I have anything. I just think it's logical to say we're in negotiation with somebody within the league. They're not gonna be able to announce anything until probably somewhere near the end of the season at the soonest. I don't think it's going to happen before the end of the month. I could be wrong.
I also don't think you want to take too much away from the big US-Mexico game. I think having the GM announcement being made, I think
that's in November, so that's
I know,
the season.
But still, I think if you put a GM announcement in there and you start talking about replacements, I don't know if the front office wants that. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I'm not too sold on that theory. I could think maybe this game, maybe holding it a week or two, but I've heard they're close within the league, people within the league. So we'll see how that goes, guys.
Does anybody know if that's why Boston's not here?
Oh, there it is. Yeah, he's recruiting out in Iceland. That's what it is. All right. Again, the U.S. women play Tuesday night. If you're listening on Wednesday, sorry. Waste a couple of minutes of your time here. But again, women, the U.S. women play on Tuesday night. Couple things to check out. American Outlaws, quote-unquote, tailgate event starts at the pitch, Cincy, at 3:30 p.m. The march to the match will take place about 6:30 and kick off at 7:30, I think, on FS1. So hopefully you're not having to watch on FS1. You'll be down there. But yeah, it's exciting to see Cincinnati featured on such a high level again. So go check out the women. Go buy a scarf, buy all that cool stuff, support the women. I need to get an updated jersey, my Weston jersey here. I don't know. I don't want to buy a women's jersey here, Rose jersey, because it's going to jinx her. Because, I got Weston jersey and then 2 days later. All right, guys. Great being with you here. We always end on our final thoughts for the show. I'm going to kick it over to Jeff again. What's your final thought for this week, my man?
Well, my final thought, I'm going to say it was good to see Ted Lasso win all those awards last night in the Emmys. But one thing that they always emphasize is to be a goldfish, to forget about things, right? And I think one of the things that we haven't really taken out of our mind was whenever there's a bad ref performance, we always say, oh, Guido Gonzalez Jr. Oh, no, not Guido Gonzalez. All is forgiven, Guido. We found someone worse than you. I'm hoping that fans will say, you know what? Let's give Guido a break. Let's stop talking about him. That's the USL. Now Ted Uncle is our homeboy. So let's give Guido a break. I think he's been through enough.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much for being a part of this group. You've been a great addition in 2021, and couldn't do this without you, pal.
All right, we're way over 5 minutes, guys.
There we go.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you very much,
Ken Hetker, man.
I was going to say, Jeff kind of stole something that I was going to bring up, which was Ted Lasso. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It is one of the best shows ever. It does have soccer as a centric part of it, but it's not really about soccer as much as people think. I was going to bring that up, but the other thing I wanted to just say, which is a little more human, is I wanted to and not that he listens, I wanted to send some condolences to Eric Winalda. He lost his brother to COVID yesterday. So soccer's a much smaller world, but he was actually one of the guys that I grew up watching, and I just still remember the goal, in the '94 World Cup. So up in Detroit, I think it was the Silver Dome. So just wanted to say condolences to him, and be safe, everybody. That's all.
Yeah, man, get to follow that one. Thank you so much, Ken, for being a part of everything. And guys, make sure to check out all of Ken's stuff. He releases some great stats and analysis on the club. So follow him on social media and check out CincinnatiSoccerDoc.com for some of his latest stuff. So thank you for joining us again, Ken. My final thought, guys, it's a busy October coming. We're finalizing the end of September here with 2 road games up in DC, which I'll be in DC, but not at the game. And that's a whole nother conversation. And then at Toronto next week. So I'll tell you what, I know we don't have relegation here in Major League Soccer, but my goodness, I do not want another wooden spoon. And if those 2 results go the wrong way, we are square in that race again. And honestly, we are square in that race again with Toronto beating Nashville this week, and then I think Houston running off some wins. So, guys, we got to support. I know we need to get some of our initial investment back and selling tickets and things like that. But if somehow you can get your tickets into somebody's hand, please make sure your tickets get used. We need to support this club. Just look at it as a way to get more people involved with the club again. We really need to get back to that mentality. I truly believe. I know, I'm spending other people's money with that comment, but that was something we did really great back at the start of this. So please consider getting new supporters in the door and helping support FC Cincinnati. That's what we're here for. And when those good times come, they're coming. We're going to have a lot of fun. So thank you all so much for tuning in this week. Please make sure to rate, download, and review us on your favorite podcast platforms. That's how a lot of people find us. We still had a lot of great listeners. We've been ranking very high again on our podcast rating. So that's a true thank you guys to you, and not completely tuning out on 2021. This is a labor of love. So thank you guys so much for all that you do and your reactions every week here with Cincinnati Soccer Talk. I'll see you guys again next Monday in the host chair for Jeff, Mr. Captain America there, Jeff, and then for Ken Hetker. Great man. This is Brian Weigel signing off. And hey, y'all, the Yanks are coming. See you next week.